Claude Code is one of the first things that I open every morning. Not email, not Slack. It's become kind of a main project hub for me. I do a lot of documentation there. I do a lot of data crunching. I even do research inside of Claude Code. It's just a really nice place to maintain artifacts and to have a conversation with Claude and have a place to just keep all my files together. It's kind of become one of my main hubs for productivity. And Anthropic just released a new feature that makes that work even easier than ever to access. It's called Remote Control, and it gives you a window from your phone or a browser into your local computer Claude Code session. I've been playing around with it, and I'm really impressed. Today I'll show you what it is, and I'll give you a couple of tips that made it a little bit easier for me to figure out how to use it a little bit more effectively. But before we jump into that, I want to mention one thing really quick. Claude Code seems to have given me 3 free passes that I can hand out to people to try Claude Code free for a week. I think they're doing this for everybody on the Max plan. If you go into your account and type /passes, you'll see if you have passes available to hand out to your friends. I don't know anybody who needs these, so if you're interested in trying out Claude Code for free for a week, drop me a note in the comments and I'll take the first 3 comments that I see and I'll send you a pass. So here's what just launched. Anthropic announced Remote Control. This means you can start a work session in Claude Code in your terminal, but then you can pick it up from your phone, from a tablet, or from Claude Code in the browser. And I know what you might be saying, yeah, we've been able to do that with Claude in the cloud for a while now, but this is different. The session that you start on your machine stays on your machine. You have like a window into your session on your local machine. Everything stays local. You're not spinning up a remote virtual machine. You're not spinning up a cloud session. And that's one of the reasons I like this so much. You now have a view into your own machine, all of your files, any of your tools that you have, any of the skills that you have installed, you can now access through that session through this remote portal. And everything stays synced. So no matter where you're at, you can monitor exactly what's happening and what you just did. So right now it's only available to users on the Max subscription plan. They do have plans to roll it out to the Pro users, but it's not quite there yet. You can't use it with an API key, and I'm sure they're working on trying to figure out how to get this for enterprise level. All right, great. So how do we get this thing up and running? According to the documentation, there's a couple of ways to get this working. The first one is to launch Claude using the remote control option. Once you kick it off, it gives you the option to show a QR code. This is kind of cool. You can just point your phone camera at this and it will bring up this session directly in your phone. However, in real life, I was able to see the connection on my phone, but I was never able to get it to connect to my actual project. Furthermore, once I brought up Claude in this mode, it should be running here. I should be able to interact with my project. I can't get out of it. I can hit the spacebar to toggle the QR code off and on, but I cannot get into the project here. And over on my phone, I can type something in, but it just goes off into the ether and never comes back. The only way I can get out of here is to hit Control-C and just kill that session. I have seen that other people have gotten that to work. For me, it did not work. So the other way that Anthropic recommends using this, and honestly, I think this is the better way anyway, is once you have your Claude Code session up and running, you type remote control. You can also type just /RC, kind of a little shortcut for us, and they'll both allow this session to be viewable in your Claude Code list of available sessions. So these sessions are viewable from your phone or your tablet, anywhere you have Claude installed, but they're also viewable on the web. So if you come into Claude.ai and you click on the Code tab, you'll see this list of interactive sessions. If you have Claude Code up and running in multiple terminals, you can set them all to have remote control accessible sessions, and they'll all show up here under your open sessions. Anthropic did give us a helpful tip and said you might want to rename your session to something meaningful so you can find it, especially if you have multiple sessions. So you just use the /rename command and then give it a name that's meaningful to your project. In my case, I'm drawing an animated tree. And so you can see now when you come back in to look at your active sessions, it's pretty easy to figure out which one is which. So I'm going to select the tree session, and let me see if I can get these side by side. All right, so on the left, we have the remote session. On the right, we have the project that I just opened. So if I want to add a new feature to my project, let's have a little cat at the base of the tree laying on the ground sleeping. I can kick it off remotely. And you can see that the project I have open in my terminal is reflecting the thing that I just asked for remotely. So obviously, if this was running on my phone, I could be out doing other things or in another room, and I could be sending messages to my terminal and let my computer do the work while I am elsewhere. The super nice thing about this is anytime you happen to wander back across your laptop, you're right there in the screen. You don't have to shut anything down or do any kind of handoff. You're just right there. You can type into that terminal as well and let it get to work. So since I'm not running in YOLO mode, it's going to come back and ask me for permission. It's going to give me those same options on my remote session. All right, and let's see. There is a very, very small cat at the base of the tree. So I'll say that's successful-ish. So likewise, if I'm at my computer and I kick off a task over here, let's make that cat just a little bit bigger. I can't really see it. And I set that to work over in my terminal. My remote session is going to reflect that. So you really do have a view no matter which window you're looking through. You can pick up where you left off. You can switch between windows. It's really pretty seamless. I've been very impressed with it so far. All right, that looks a little bit better. I can definitely see the cat now. So I was mentioning that I use Claude Code for documentation and number crunching. I've moved a lot of my work over to Claude Code just because it works so well as a file manager, and it's so easy to have a conversation with it and ask it to write a document and to capture the notes of the conversation that you just had and to create an artifact for you. The same is true with spreadsheets. I've been doing a bunch of kind of business expense tracking lately, and it's really handy just to be able to go into Claude Code and say, I've got the CSV file. Will you do some Excel-like things to it? So then it's really nice to be able to come back in here remotely and access that project. And while you can't directly see the files in your project in your remote session, you do still have access to Claude, so you can ask questions about your files. So in this example, I just asked it what was the amount of the utilities that I have in my expenses, and it was able to look through my files and find that amount for me. And so although you don't have direct access to the files in that project, you do have access to someone who has access to the files. And to me, that's actually just as, if not actually a little bit more helpful. So one more thing to note, when you're in a Claude Code session and you want to create a remote access for that session, that's when you type that /RC command and it creates access. It'll show up in that list that you have remotely. If you don't want to have to remember to do that for every single session that you start, or if you're really wishing that this would just be automatic, you can go into your config setting and all the way down at the bottom, they've got enable remote control for all sessions. By default, it's turned off unless you explicitly ask for it in each session, but you can just hit enter and set it to true. So those sessions are always going to be available remotely. So if you're the kind of person like me who doesn't always remember to take that extra step to start a remote control session before you walk away or you get dragged away and you think you're going to be gone just a minute, but you're really gone a lot longer than that. This is how you turn it on for all of your sessions. So for me, this is a feature I didn't know I needed, but now that I have it, I never want to not have it again. This really lets me use Claude Code as the full control hub that I'm already using it as, but now it gives me remote access to that as well. And so if you've been using Claude Code in this same way, kind of the place that you start where you really get your work done, this is kind of a game changer. You can just start something in your laptop, walk away, pull out your phone, and just keep working on it, no matter where you're at. If you're interested in the specifics, I'll link the Claude documentation in the description below. It goes into security and a bit of that kind of information. All right, that's it for today. It's just that simple and just that fun. Don't forget, I've got 3 free passes for Claude Code if anybody's interested. Drop me something in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.